Oh my God, I'm so excited for this show. It's going to be so good. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I know I'm pretty excited too. You don't even know what's coming. So you know how much I love the WNBA. I talk about them all the time. I'm a huge fan. I've got all their jerseys. I go to all the games. I watch them on TV. Ha, 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 ha. Jokes aside, I am not here to talk about women's basketball at all, but this Caitlin Clark story has got so many fingers in it now and has been taken in different directions. Now I think we got to talk about it because this isn't about women's basketball. This is about larger issues that we are dealing with in other facets of the James Show and other stories that we talk about on a regular basis. First, to get you all caught up, if you're not on the vanguard of women's basketball like me and Mike Traina over there, ESPN can sum it up.
Welcome back to First Take. Caitlin Clark left the Fever's loss yesterday to the Mercury after suffering a back injury in the third quarter. In her post-game comments, Fever head coach Stephanie White also voiced frustration over two earlier plays involving Clark, which she described as cheap shots. Listen to this.
Number one, you got to call it. It's absolutely egregious and utterly disrespectful. And then number two, you're coming in here aware of what happened 2 nights ago, and that still happens? Absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And the reckless closeout that they actually reviewed, and the foot still comes down on top of the defender's foot that wasn't upgraded? Absolutely disrespectful. We have a generational talent and a WNBA superstar who had 2 cheap shots right there that weren't called. And I just say, again, absolutely unacceptable.
I mean, you can say that, but so far it's acceptable. Now, what does unacceptable mean? Does that mean Caitlin Clark's going to take her ball and go home? Kind of metaphorically, and I suppose literally in this rare situation here. But here's the first contrast a lot of people online are making, and I like this. The immediate comparison to the World Cup game last night. We were at the party for WBAP and Dallas Express for America's 250th birthday, and we saw this happen on the monitors at the Longhorn Ice House. It was a rough foul. If the guy doesn't break his ankle, is it a red card? Probably not. I think the red card was predicated on him doing it on purpose, but a lot of people have already noticed this guy, just for having a bad foul one time, is going to get the same punishment that the girl got who punched Caitlin Clark in the throat and kneed her in the nether regions. And Caitlin Clark has been injured since that happened. She had to leave the game with a back injury. And look, just to recap the glorious moment here, if you weren't watching the game last night, I think the best angle I saw of this was from some guys in the stands when the United States was playing against Bosnia and Herzegovina. I guess that's 2 countries. They only got 1 team. Shut up. But here, let me play this and we'll get back to the Caitlin Clark story. I just love this piece of audio here.
Oh, this is it.
Oh, by the way, when the music starts is when the ball goes in the goal from a free kick. They're setting up for a free kick. And what we're looking at here is the guy had already gotten the red card. He got kicked out of the game. We're winning 1-0, but now we're on our heels. Are we going to be able to hold our lead with just 10 guys? They got to play with 11. We got to play a man down. The rest of the game, not only did we hold our own, we managed to score on them with just 10 men. And we did it on a free kick that looked like it was about, 6 yards outside the box.
Oh, this is it. This is 2-0.
Send them home, Wonder Boy.
Do it for Jefferson.
Send them home.
For Adams.
Send them home.
For Washington.
Bring that line.
Screw these refs. USA.
So no one's griping that this guy's going to miss a game. We all understand, maybe you think it's a little egregious. But he didn't punch somebody in the throat and he didn't knee him in the nether regions. And the discipline in the soccer arena, we all just observed, seems to be substantially more player safety oriented than what we've seen from the WNBA. Now, when we look at the woman who did the punching, her name is Alyssa Thomas, and it's not just her. There's actually a whole list of things that have happened to Caitlin Clark. I didn't know any of this stuff, but I was reading through one of the articles, and like I think they popped her eardrum previously, like that they ruptured her eardrum. She's been kneed in the back, all this other stuff. But Alyssa Thomas, the woman who took her down to the ground, punched her, and put a knee down there, made herself the victim.
Alyssa, you said that the league still hasn't reached out to you in the aftermath of everything, of the incident and like vitriol and stuff like that on social media. How do you feel like they could better support you in this incident?
I think it's not even about the suspension. If that's what they felt was necessary in that moment, then so be it. But I think there's a lot of other plays that you can say the same about. I think the biggest thing is it's just about our safety. We're so concerned about the safety on the court, but time and time again we're having people threatening our lives, leaking addresses out there, putting crazy pictures that have nothing to do with basketball. So at some point the league needs to put a stand on it. They came out with no hate speech, but I mean, what is that going to do? At some point, time and time again players are going through this and the league remains silent. So I'm sick and tired of it, and it's time for them to step up and have our backs in these instances.
All right, coming up next on the James Show, you're going to hear response to this ongoing storyline from two guys that I hold in pretty high esteem. Stephen A. Smith, he's going to talk about how this is just plain old resentment against Caitlin Clark for outshining some envious and jealous other players on the WNBA. And then Victor Davis Hanson, a guy that Rush Limbaugh used to cite all the time, weighing in not on the X's and O's of what's going on here, but he sees this as has a racial element to it that spans across other stories, like the Carmelo Anthony story or the Sammy Lee story that's getting ignored, or so many of these other things where all these people see racism in a Sydney Sweeney ad, but not here. So you will hear both of those next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here. Your house is looking all busted up. This looks old. It's flaking, it's cracking, it's peeling. Now, if this applies to you, that's just a coincidence. I don't actually know what your house looks like. If this doesn't apply to you, I apologize for the stray insults that you just caught. But if that does apply to you, you don't have to live like that. And if you think you can't afford it, Rhino Shield can put you on a low monthly payment, because that's really your only excuse to not get Rhino Shield, is that I'm worried about how much it costs, or I heard paint's cheaper, because Rhino Shield won't do this flaking, cracking, peeling stuff that your house is doing right now in 510. No, it's a 25-year warranty. Paint doesn't give you an insulation factor. It doesn't lower your energy costs. It doesn't keep your home more comfortable. It doesn't breathe and expand and contract with your house. So I think you're just worried about the money, aren't you? Well, you can't get a loan on paint, so you're going to come out of pocket less to get something better than you would if you went with old, obsolete paint. So we don't do that anymore. You don't paint your house. You coat your home. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. So Caitlin Clark's getting beat up in the WNBA. Why is that such a big deal? I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, it's not a personal life effect for you if Caitlin Clark takes a fist to the throat. But as we walk through some of the reactions to this, you're going to see that this is a broader conversation. You know, that this level of abuse and envy and hatred, it comes from somewhere. So let's go through a couple of guys that I hold their opinion in high regard. Stephen A. Smith and Victor Davis Hanson. We're going to start with Stephen A. Smith because I want to set the palette first. This doesn't have anything to do with the Caitlin Clark story, but we just have to get some ground rules in first so we show that we're being fair. Stephen A. Smith on the new Lakers lineup because LeBron is leaving the Lakers. I don't know if you keep up with basketball. But their top three guys, their top three stars are white.
Where the hell the Los Angeles Lakers think they going with a bunch of white dudes? Your three top players are white dudes? Really? This ain't golf. This ain't baseball. Hell, it ain't even soccer. What y'all think this is? It's basketball. In NBA history, when have you seen your three most prominent players on a basketball team all be white? And that takes you to the promised land. Somebody got to say it, so I'm saying it. This is basketball. I'm not complaining. I'm simply making the point. The Los Angeles Lakers, you ain't going anywhere being led by three white dudes in today's generation of basketball. I'm letting you know right now, it ain't happening. And Luka's a bad brother. And Austin Reeves is no scrub. And they both have earned what they have earned. And then with LeBron James or some other brothers I get. But those two and Walker Kessler, you ain't scaring anybody with that. And Rob Pelinka has done made this white dude central. No wonder LeBron James walked out the door.
I like that term though. Can we make a promo out of that? Can we put that in one of my James Show bumpers? White dude central.
White dude central.
All right, now that's not racist, and you and I know why it's not racist, because he didn't say that he thinks one race is better than another. They don't have inherent traits that make them better than another. He formed his opinion not because he thinks black people are superior, but he cited the pattern of the NBA and succeeding in that league with an all-white team. When was the last time it happened? When was the last time an all-white professional basketball team won? Or when was a majority white basketball team, your top three guys? You almost kind of had it with the Celtics for a little bit there when they had both Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. That's about as Bruce and I were talking about this before the show. That's about as close as we could get. But it's not racist because he's right. I don't think we've had that situation since what? Just don't want to be uncomfortable here. Since segregation. I know. I didn't do it. Don't look at me. So he is making that logical extrapolation based on the pattern. You just haven't seen white guys succeeding in the NBA at the same level of black guys, and there's nothing racist about saying it. You're just observing a fact. You're just observing a pattern, right? All right, because that's going to come in handy later. Let's get to Stephen A. Smith's reaction to the Caitlin Clark abuse in the WNBA.
Listen, I don't watch the WNBA extensively enough to say whether I agree or disagree. But I've often used the line, Shay, that I'll share with you because I don't know if I've ever used it while you've been on the air with me. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it ain't a damn mongoose. I've said that many, many times over the years. There is a flagrant level of resentment that exists when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And it has existed since she has arrived in the league. She is the cash cow. Just recently, a couple of days ago, I think, we saw her and another player, I think it was Elisa Boston or whatever, we saw them be the top two vote getters for the WNBA All-Star game so far. Every time you turn around, there seems to be something involving this girl, and there's an elevated level of physicality that obviously compromised her availability last season where she missed a few games. There is a palpable resentment towards this girl where you have people who are resenting of her star power and her cachet. And as a result, if they have an opportunity to go at her, they're going to take it. Now,
Okay, so let's take that. He thinks it's just based on resentment. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But what are the layers of resentment? Because I think a lot of people see a racial angle to this. A lot of these girls are resenting the fact that they see this as their sport. This is basketball. You heard Stephen A. Smith say this is the black people's domain. This is where they succeed. And there's a little bit of resentment for that. There's a little bit of resentment because she's prettier. There's a little bit of resentment because she's richer. There's a little bit of resentment because she gets more attention. And this all adds up. And I'm not saying this is based on racism, but there is a racial angle to it. Now let's go to Victor Davis Hanson. I got this broke down into two kind of short clips. So here's his reaction to it.
They made her the aggressor, and then I think it was the New York Post. They listed everything they have done to her for the last 3 years, and they ruptured her eardrum, they hit her back, they kicked her. It's just flagrant violence. You know what she should do? I really believe that she should do this. She should just announce that she's quitting this corrupt league and go to Europe.
And then here is his explanation on where this is all going.
Whether it's going to be, intentional that I know they're going to try to hurt her permanently, and they think it's cute because the perpetrator posted something, I think, right afterwards. Do you want that? Kind of, and then she took it down. But and then when you see the Carmelo Anthony, the whole commentary that, I wish I had killed his twin brother on all this. And everybody's just supposed to say, you know what, this is because of slavery or something.
Right. So he's making the connection there, at least including that in the resentment conversation. And I think he's right to do so. Because I think what you have learned from watching the reaction to the Carmelo Anthony story and so many other stories like it is things are getting better. Racism isn't something that is ruining your day or anyone's day on a regular basis. But there is, and it's not the black community, it's a minority within the black community that is so tribal, that has been so sharpened. Their racism is just razor sharp toward white people. You don't think any of them are in the WNBA? You don't think that plays any factor whatsoever? Just constantly being told that you're being oppressed and white people are evil. And I think you would be naive to not include that. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. More on the Caitlin Clark abuse story. As soon as we get done with that, we're going to talk about the terrible, terrible candidates that keep getting elected. Another weird primary happened this week. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, welcome back to White Dude Central. I think that's going to be the new name for the show.
White Dude Central.
I'm James Parker. It's really called The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Don't forget the WBAP morning show whenever you wake up. They're on, and they're awesome. So we have another primary that seems like just in the last, 2-3 weeks, we've had a bunch of these incumbent Democrats get unseated in their own party's primary from someone who's way to the left of where they're at already. Now, this isn't happening all across the country. This is primarily just happening in hyper blue urban cores. So it doesn't matter about the rest of the population of the state of New York. When you're in New York City and you're in one of these districts that's like 80% blue, New York City, it's almost a done deal that whoever wins the primary is going to go through and be in Congress for a lot of these are congressional primaries, even if they're saying all this crazy stuff. So what we're really doing when we go through these little primaries and just put a little thumbtack on the map here of what's coming next year when these people get in Congress. Because for a lot of this, man, there seems to be a lot of them, and they really don't seem to like us very much. So let's go through some of the newer ones here. When we have Bernie Sanders be the guy who is kind of the vanguard of the new wing of the party, that should be your first bad sign. But I think the new Bernie Sanders from here on out, I'm not sure if Bernie Sanders fits into this new mold, because a lot of it has an Islamic bent to it. Seeing as how Bernie Sanders is not very Islamic. In fact, he's kind of like the opposite of Islamic. He's, Jewish. I mean, is there room for him? Is there room for Josh Shapiro, the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania, who was in the conversation to be the running mate for Kamala Harris? I mean, has the party really turned over that much? Maybe, because we're about to find out. If this continues, you know who the new face of Team Blue is? Zoran Mamdani.
And we raise taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers instead of taking more from those with the least. Throughout this process, I've been reminded of the words of the Austrian economist Friedrich Hayek. If socialists understood economics, they wouldn't be socialists. If these past months have shown us anything, it is that socialists not only understand economics just as well as the capitalists who came before, but that we can solve their years of mismanagement through an embrace of our principles.
Yeah, that's right. That's why there's so many people that are fleeing capitalist countries to go to socialist countries, right? Because when we split Berlin in half, we had to build a wall in the middle of it to keep people from going to the capitalist to the socialist side. Is that what happened? I mean, was it 50-50? Was it 60-40? Was it 90-10? Or did absolutely zero people die trying to sneak into East Berlin? You think this is the most intolerable position ever, also considering that ideology killed 100 million of their own citizens in the 20th century alone. But here we are. And what is this built off? Resentment. See, back to the Caitlin Clark story. Caitlin Clark is being attacked for the same reasons. And you build up this resentment. You see how powerful this propaganda is? You see how powerful it is to tell people that they've been oppressed their entire lives? How powerful it is whenever they do see a successful person. They don't tell them it's because of the merits of the person who was successful. No, they must have cheated. That's what it did. The system cheats things from you and gives it to them. They didn't earn that. You didn't build that. And so what do you expect these people to do when they think the whole world is systematically aligned against them? I mean, that's not true. But this is where we're seeing all this resentment. There is a lot of collateral damage to the constant negative portrayal of white people, the constant negative portrayal of straight people, the constant negative portrayal of men. Constant negative portrayal of Christianity now needs to be thrown in there with it, because it almost seems to be like, what is Team Blue interested in? Just the opposite of me. Just probably the opposite of you too. I mean, I don't know your gender, or maybe you're not a Christian or whatever, but it almost seems to be like we have like this Republican Party And the people opposing them are just whatever the opposite is. Oh, you like Jesus? Wow, well, we don't. Oh, you're straight? Well, we're not. Oh, you're white? Well, we hate that too. You're a man, we hate that. You have a family, we hate that. Traditional family, mores, values. I think it's kind of connected. In fact, here's an interesting takeaway. The demographics of this new Democrat Socialist of America wing of the party, the DSAs is what they're being called. A lady named Lizzie Savetsky broke down who these people really are. And this extreme wing, this sort of Mom Donnie, Bernie Sanders, AOC wing is exactly what you think it is.
They want you to think that it is lower middle class working people who are rising up for affordability, but it's not. Let me break this down for you. The DSA's own membership is 85% white. The average age is 33. 80% of them have college degrees. We're not talking about factory workers here. These are grad students. They are nonprofit staffers. They are people with master's degrees in sociology.
But I think it's all connected. I think the anti-white, straight white Christian male resentment built up was a factor in Carmelo Anthony lashing out. I think it was definitely a factor in the girl that got beat up last weekend in Longview by the girl saying free Carmelo. I think it's a factor in Caitlin Clark repeatedly getting beat up, and the WNBA is scared to say anything about it. And I think it's part of the reason why the people who have embraced socialism are getting ahead. It's not their economic policy. It's because their voters have been trained to resent you. And the crazy part is they probably share your race, the DSA people at least. All right, coming up next. Austin Public Library is an absolute disaster, and it's probably worse than you think. You'll hear the report next from Savannah Hernandez on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Public libraries are stupid and obsolete. Yeah, I said it. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And if you want to have a real conversation about it, please do. If you're just going to tell me I'm stupid, then grow up. That happened to me yesterday. I just kind of casually slipped in to a discussion about something else that, we've got to get rid of the public schooling system and just go back to private schools. And I kept talking about something else. And I had like 3 people say, that's the dumbest thing you've ever said. Based on what? My next example, the Austin Public Library. We were just talking about the library. Wasn't that yesterday? Where we don't have the money to pay city workers, but we have money to paint the steps gay, to gay up the public library. Sounds so funny to say. How do you gay up a library? Go to Oakland. You'll see. Check out the steps. Anyway, this comes from Savannah Hernandez. She is with the Blaze, and I see her do work for TPUSA. I think this was a TPUSA report. But she lives in Austin now, and she didn't want to report on the public library. She just went and she's like, oh, I got to do a report on this. So here's the 2 situations here. I'm going to play you her describing the library it is now and the library's recent history after that.
This is Savannah Hernandez in front of the most expensive library in all of Texas and also one of the most terrifying and dangerous. Now, I wanted to come to the Austin Public Library because this is a $125 million taxpayer-funded library that took over 10 years to complete, and it is now completely overrun with the homeless. Now, this is a 200,000 square foot library with 6 stories, and every single story has a homeless person either lounging on the furniture, in the restrooms, and causing what is quite frankly a very terrifying environment to patrons at this library. And to give you guys a quick example, I was in this library for 2 minutes today. 2 minutes. I got in the elevator and a homeless man who was clearly on drugs jumped on the elevator with me and was having some type of mental breakdown and started threatening the guy that was on the elevator as well.
You good? You good? Well, you're surrounding me, so you're good? No, you're good. I'm good.
Yeah, so that guy was all twitchy and whatnot. And it's not that these guys are just sitting around stinking and being an eyesore. There is a record of violence that just keeps happening over and over and over, and the city still doesn't do anything about it. And by doing anything about it, remove the homeless people. They have cops that'll go there and arrest them quickly after they commit a crime, but the crimes are still happening. Then they put them in jail and they let them out, and it just keeps cycling through. And it seems to be something that could be easily fixed. They just don't want to do it. And I can't understand why. Listen to this list.
So this is just one example of what it's like at Austin Central Public Library. But a couple months ago in March, to again highlight the danger here, you had a 62-year-old man who was utilizing a public computer. Now, a homeless man decided to come up behind him and punch him in the head. When he fell to the floor, that homeless man then stomped on his head, causing life-threatening brain injuries. And it ended up being the police chief who arrested this homeless man because she was already here at the library to give a safety meeting on how they could make the library safer, and that's just one incident. Now, back in October of last year, you had another homeless man who went to the 6th floor of the library and shot a patron who was simply using the bathroom. Now, this was a 50-year-old homeless man who was on the bus, had already pointed that gun at a mother and a child. He decided to eat some meth on the bus, and then he ended up shooting the gentleman who stood up to try to protect the mother and child. He then made his way to the public library, made his way to the 6th floor, and then shot unprovoked one of the patrons inside. By the way, you guessed it, this guy had a rap sheet a mile long. I mean, think about any crime you could think about, and it was basically on this man's record, which was dating all the way back to the 90s.
Ate a bag of meth. All right, let me put the final context, because I know I'm probably not going to convince you today, but if I do this long enough, you're going to come around on this ending the public library thing, because I'm not saying we should end all libraries. I'm saying we should end public libraries. I'm saying that there are various options by which you can go get books to read, and the public library option is the only, probably the most failed option. Because think about the private sector alternatives here. Are there any homeless people lounging in half-price books right now? Or if you go to Books A Million, is there going to be some guy in the corner taking care of his business? What about Barnes & Nobles? What about anybody's private library? What about private libraries that are open to the public? And for those of you who haven't even thought about that, it's really common in small towns. I know, at least here in Texas, that the small town, they don't have enough of a tax base or whatever to form a public library. So they'll just take a building, they'll put a bunch of books in it, and they'll have fundraisers for it. And not one dime of taxpayer dollars will go to it. It'll just be a nonprofit charity library. They don't have homeless people in there eating a bag of meth. So maybe I didn't convince you today, but Austin spent $125 million on a beautiful, it's a cool looking building. The design on it, the bricks, the marble, the swooping staircases, 6 floors, books everywhere, beautiful shelves. It's all clean. It's all well lit. It's well decorated, nice carpet. It looks awesome. And it's all a waste. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Dallas City Councilwoman Kara Mendelson is going to tell you what the heck's going on with the city employees getting furloughed, City Hall, and all the scandal around that. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. So the city of Dallas has the money to build the WNBA team a practice facility, but they have to furlough their employees because they're broke. Make that make sense? I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820-93.3 FM, WBAP. My next guest is someone I have been harassing for months to come on the James Show because she may be the only or the loudest voice of reason down at Dallas City Hall. Kara Mendelson, Dallas City Councilwoman, coming on the James Show. Kara, explain that. Explain how we have money for a WNBA practice facility, but we have to furlough employees. Yeah. Well, when this story came out yesterday, a lot of people were pointing out that we have $200 million for Clyde Warren Park, or we have money to paint a rainbow on the steps of the public library, or, all these other projects. We've got money for that. And then at the same time, we're told that, well, we've got to have furloughs, or we need to take out billions in more bonds, or we've got to raise some tax over here. So it seems to be they just, whatever the issue is, do we have money or not? We're talking with Karen Mendelson from the Dallas City Council. Yeah, I'm not too upset about Dallas, the Stars and the Mavericks leaving and finding new homes. I didn't think it was that much of a boost anyway. Do we do? Well, I mean, I would prefer for that, but not if we're going to have to bribe them with taxpayer money to do so. And I don't get why we need to revitalize downtown anyway. I think it works just fine where people come down here, they go to work downtown, they get back in their cars, and they go to wherever they live in the suburbs or outskirts of Dallas. And I think that's a pretty good model. Why do we need to fight that? All right. Well, thanks for finally being on the show. Sorry for harassing you for so long. And thank you very much for coming out last night to the WBAP Dallas Express party for America's birthday. That was very nice of you. Kara Mendelson, thank you. All right. Well, then we'll have to party again in the future. And don't be a stranger on the show. I'll harass you to come back on soon, okay? All right. Thank you very much. This is Kara Mendelson from the Dallas City Council. Coming up next, I think some people are going to tell me I'm wrong on public libraries because I think we should get rid of them. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Yeah, I think we should get rid of public libraries. Don't hate me. I will convince you one day. I know you don't agree yet, but you're a person who can be convinced. You can listen to reason. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I love saying unpopular things. I really do, especially if they're right. Don't forget about the WBAP morning show. They are pro-library, so if I'm offending you right now, do not hold this against them. But this is stemming from a report Savannah Hernandez did about the Austin Public Library, where she lives down there now. She's Turning Point. I think she used to be with the Blaze, and she's with Turning Point USA now. But she's been doing reports down in Austin on state business, and I've been using some of her clips, but she went to the library with her daughter for the first time. She's like, oh, my God, I've got to do a story on this. So there's a beautiful $125 million library, 6 stories. It's gorgeous, and it's almost unusable because there's so many homeless people everywhere. The video's every bit as bad as you think, maybe even a little bit worse. But there's some guy like in the corner just kind of twitching and flicking his arms and talking to nobody. There's some guys that are just sleeping on the couches. There's some dudes on the internet portals looking at God knows what. And I was just making the point that we've got to get rid of public libraries. I mean, how obsolete does the technology have to get before we finally let go of it? And the greatest comparison is look at the private sector. The private sector, when they go to try and fulfill the demand for books, are there homeless people lounging in half-price books? Are there any homeless people eating bags of meth at a Barnes & Noble? So I think the alternative is much more preferable to public libraries, and it doesn't cost you anything. David and Garland, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Well, I think you're looking at the problem slightly wrong. For instance, in Garland, Texas, where I live, and I just came from the library, you can go to any one of the libraries. There are 5 or 6 very, very nice ones. There are no problems with homeless people sleeping in the library or anything else. When I was there, people were reading everything from some people looking at the Wall Street Journal. A gentleman was doing that. Mom had 2 or 3 kids around a table. They've got meeting rooms in the library where if you've got, for whatever reason, you want to have a meeting, you can do it. The other thing is spending too much time on a computer visually is not good for your visual health. If you do any reading on that, you would find that out. But the other reason to compare Dallas or Austin to a city like Garland, or you want to go to Burnet or Lampasas or smaller towns in Texas, there is no problem in the public library, and they do have a lot of services, more than just the books. They've got the audio, they got the visual, and the other stuff that you can get, okay? And they can tell you how to maneuver around in the national library.
All right, so why can't we do that in the private sector?
Well, you can, but here's the other
Then
thing.
we should.
Like you mentioned, half-price books. I go to half-price books, but I'm going to buy something that I'm going to typically keep, okay? On the other hand, I'm used to be fluent in German, Japanese, Spanish, and Italian. So I just was going to get some Spanish. So I got a book just to enhance my, should we say, Spanish for around here.
I don't understand why you can't do this in the private sector. Why can't you buy your own damn books?
Well, I'm 84, and money is I don't make as much money as I used to. The library is a good place, but also it's a safe place for kids to go read something, that kind of thing.
Some of them are. Some of them are not. Listen, David, how about this? We give up private libraries. I'll start a nonprofit for 84-year-olds who are destitute so we can buy you books. Can we do that? Can we just do it with private voluntary donations? Look, this is the problem with, hang on. This is the problem with socialism. He wants something. I don't. He uses government to force me to pay for something he wants. I'm not going to use the library, but he is forcing me to pay for his recreation. That is the inherent unethical, immoral part of public libraries in any social program. David?
Well, here's the other issue that you're overlooking.
You're not even going to address my issue? Address how it is moral for you to use government to take money from me to fund your recreation.
Well, why should we have public schools?
We shouldn't.
Right now, they're doing a very poor job.
I agreed. Agreed. Now, address my point.
Instance.
You see, we're trying to find an inconsistency there. You didn't, so my point still stands.
No, you didn't let me finish either.
Oh, there was
You were
something more to
talking
public
part of the
schools?
things. Well, no, what I was going to say, though, is first of all, in Austin, Dallas, other things, you've got district attorneys who do not enforce the law. You've got homeless people all over the place.
Yeah, and they have them. They have them all over the place in Austin. But does the half price books in Austin have this problem, or is it something that is endemic to the public sector? I appreciate it, David. Don't worry, no one's going to take your library away because I think only 5 people who are listening right now agree with me. So, Joe in Garland, I bet you more people agree with you too. You want to light me up?
No, I'm a librarian, and I actually agree with you. I don't particularly think public libraries are handy in every town and city in the world.
I don't think you know how rare it is to have a librarian agree with me on the public library stance that I've taken that has been wholly unpopular for the 24 years that I've believed this.
I totally understand.
Oh, you're my new hero. I needed you. You could hear me getting upset at the last guy, right? It just all got washed away. I have one friend out there, and it's Joe in Garland. Now, from the point of view of a librarian, how are you in disagreement with all the other librarians that have ever called me about this topic?
Okay, the big disagreement that I have is the mindset that a lot of librarians have that the public library is a place for anyone in the community to go and not be asked to buy something. You're not required to buy entrance. You're not required to buy a book or to purchase any product of any kind. And that's been their selling point for a lot of time, a lot of the argument. Plus, you can get forms for government loans and voting. And yes, there's a lot of great things that go on in public libraries. I'm not dispelling any of that good stuff. But what I am saying is public libraries originally existed so that people that didn't have access to very expensive books could have access to them for their knowledge. Those books are in Barnes & Noble and in half-price books. And there are tons of community organizations that come together and take donations from volunteers who willingly give their money in donations for people to buy books.
Yeah, Joe, I see this in, I don't want to say half of the small towns out in East Texas, but this is a normal thing in tiny towns to have a bunch of people donate. They donate their books, they donate their money. Some people donate to work, at the register or the desk or whatnot, and it doesn't cost taxpayers anything, and it works. The private sector works. Private sector charity is more efficient than public. And thank you very much, Joe. You're my new best friend. Round of applause for Joe. Joe and Garland. Yes. Yeah. Joe and Garland gets 21 points. That is 3 touchdowns. I don't ever think I've given out 21 points before, but I needed that. I'm on a losing streak, buddy. Coming up next, Carlos Tercios from the Dallas Express has an update on the street preachers that got cited for offensive language. They got a ticket for just saying things out loud that are provably true at the Trinity Pride Fest. I think you know where this is going. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. So I have an update on the street preachers who got ticketed for offensive language at the Trinity Pride Fest in Fort Worth. I guess that was about a week and a half ago. My next guest is on top of it because the Fort Worth Police Department has finally issued a response. And here to break it down with us from Dallas Express, Carlos Tercios coming back on. First off, thanks for coming to the party, Carlos. Okay, so just a quick review of the story. Two guys went and they were adjacent to the Pride Fest, the Trinity Pride Fest. The cops moved them off the boundaries or beyond the boundaries of the Pride Fest. And from where the video picked it up, it looked like they had already been moved away from it, and it was like across the street and kind of down the block a little bit. So they were pretty far away from what I saw on the video. Now, in the response from the Fort Worth police, I don't know all these details. Did they ever get close? Were they ever actually inside? Did they have a bullhorn? And I have all kinds of questions here. Break it down for me. What do we know? Well, hang on a second. I've read it. I can't assume anyone that's listening has read it. So the part from it's just really two screenshots on the response from the Fort Worth Police Department. It said the city of Fort Worth law department. Wait, let me do the previous statement too. Fort Worth PD acknowledges that an officer involved in the incident made certain statements that were not accurate, which isn't a big deal. It's a human endeavor. People are going to misremember stuff or maybe have bad training or make mistakes. But the next sentence is what Carlos was talking about, y'all. The City of Fort Worth Law Department will provide refresher training to the Fort Worth police officers and new trainees on First Amendment protections and related legal issues for persons expressing free speech, protesters, and other similar activities. Now, that admits that she said something that was inaccurate in the exchange, but does that admit that the citation for offensive language was flawed? Okay, so in the video, Carlos, I didn't see him use a bullhorn. I don't even remember seeing a bullhorn. I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention to the details other than the people talking. So maybe it was on the ground in the background somewhere. But did they have a bullhorn? Yeah, you know what? Let's get everyone caught up. I'm going to play that 1 minute clip from the video that you had shared. I guess this was just last weekend, wasn't it? All right, here we go.
But no, I want to ask, and I'm being dead serious. So if a biological male comes up to me who says he's a woman, and I call him, I say, sir, and he gets offended, is that a citable offense? If I call a biological male a male, and he says I'm offended, I'm gonna whatever. Is that a citable offense if he's offended by that speech?
Man, we're talking gray area right now. When I talked about it earlier, when it says that's a vague conversation, vague charge.
I'm genuinely curious.
Sure, I don't believe I would cite that for offensive language. Offensive language to me is calling somebody
N-word,
curse words.
We don't curse, we're preachers.
Sure, no, I agree. But it's more like you call somebody a male. I don't necessarily find that offensive unless they come up.
You don't, but what if they do?
That's what I'm saying. If they come up and say, "Hey, I'm offended by that," and you continue to do that, well, then that's just becoming offensive to them. Correct?
Here's the catch.
So it's the hey, warning. I'm feeling offended by that. Then we're moving into the potential.
But so what if I'm offended by what they say? Like they come up telling me this and then the other, swearing at me, will they get cited?
Are you offended by it?
I'm offended by all of this.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
I'm offended by seeing half-naked men running around with children. I am deeply offended by that.
Correct. Unfortunately, there's not much on our side to do anything about it.
All right. So I guess I'm an idiot. There was definitely a bullhorn there, but so that's what they're hanging this on. Now, just so you guys that didn't see the video, it's not like he's yelling that in anyone's face. I don't even see any of the Pride people anywhere in the background at all, so they probably weren't in earshot of the bullhorn anyway. But I did hear it, so I was wrong on that. Well, you're right. So here's what we do in the future. We test that theory. Carlos, you're an awesome guy that likes to go out to these protests. You see anyone using a bullhorn, just go to the nearest cop and say, that's offending me, ticket them. And we'll just see if that stands up. How about that? Well, I'll send you. I'll let you be the brave one. This is Carlos Terceos from Dallas Express. Thank you very much for getting that video last weekend and posting the follow-up from the Fort Worth Police Department. Carlos Terceos, great work. Okay, coming up next on the James Show, we do have to take a quick look here at what's going on with the race war. Race war updates next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820, 933 FM, WBAP. You're home for the WBAP morning show. Wake up with my friends. They're on from whenever you wake up until Matt takes over at 9. My update today on the race war is me sort of reminding myself, I'm just going to kind of take you along with me, that actually I feel like we've made a lot of progress really since 2020. That kind of was the valley in race relations in, our lifetime pretty much. I don't know, maybe you're considerably older and we're still alive during segregation and all that. But for me, I think that's the low point in my entire life of race relations that I've observed. And I think we've been climbing out of that hill ever since. And the Carmelo Anthony verdict showed us that there's a lot of people who did not raise their kids to be race neutral. We see them in the comments. We see how the parents raised Carmelo Anthony. We see how Carmelo Anthony reacted. We see that they went and got a race huckster to do the press conference and take care of their kid when this happened. They saw race. So apparently racism really is taught in some households. But I think that number is diminishing every day. And it's probably the lowest it's ever been in our entire life. And I think it's really getting harder and harder to even believe in racism anymore. I don't believe in racism. I don't believe you can determine someone's inherent traits based on the color of their skin that renders them better or worse than other races. I think it's kind of a silly thing to believe, especially in modern times when you can travel around. Like maybe if it was the year 4 and you never got to see people of another race and you heard bad things about them, you would just assume, but we all know. We've all worked with people of different races. We all went to school with people of different races. A bunch of us are married to people of different races. And so it just seems like an old, obsolete thing that's sort of disappearing on the horizon. Here's a lady named Catherine Birbal who went viral last week. She's like a school marm in England or whatnot, but she just had some speech that blew up. And so she's been doing a lot of interviews lately. And I really like this one statement.
Donald Trump is in the White House, and suddenly all these DEI initiatives are falling by the wayside. I mean, immediately. All of the big KPMG and Google and all of these institutions, suddenly, no, we don't want these anymore. Nobody believes in this stuff. It is all performative. It is all pretense. Everybody's doing it because they don't want to be called a racist. They're not doing it because they actually believe that it's right. The thing is, all of this anti-racism, I mean, all we're doing is lining the pockets of Ibram X. Kendi and all these people who are becoming billionaires out of our stupidity and our inability to stand up for what's right. What they're saying is wrong.
So I think we've reached peak racism. I think we are on the downslope and things are getting better. And I think this parallels with what you just saw last month. Pride Month was a little more muted this year, wasn't it? Pride Month wasn't in everybody's profile picture. It wasn't in everybody's corporations with their default pictures on social media. Let's change it to a rainbow. I mean, you still saw some rainbows on the hats of a baseball team or, some Pride Month celebration. Maybe a couple street preachers got a ticket. But I think we may have reached peak pride too. In fact, I think we are just sort of coasting to an understanding, and little by little, people are sort of agreeing with your worldview, or at least aspects of it that used to be a bigger problem. And I wonder what this would look like. What is this going to look like if this trend continues? I hope it's not a pendulum that swings back the other way. Because if we can actually just get rid of racism, we can get rid of all this DEI stuff. Think of how much more harmony there would be in this country. When you talk about how Black people have to have a conversation with their kids because white people are so evil and cops are not going to give them a fair shot and whatnot. Well, what happens to just the net happiness or, levels of contentment? What happens to that if you stop telling your kids that? What happens to our level of trust with our neighbor if Netflix and Google and academia don't constantly foment and pour fuel on the fire? I think it's going to be beautiful. I think it's going to be much, much better than it is now. And once we get to this point, this next soundbite is going to be different. Right now, I'm going to play you a soundbite from a Somali. He's living in America. He's living off welfare benefits, and he's mocking you for paying for his lifestyle. Now, me playing this clip right now, there's a lot of people who say, oh, Parker's just doing that because he's racist and he wants to make black people look bad and he hates Somalis because he's racist and they're literally Hitler and the color of their skin and whatnot. And if that goes away, then you would actually have to address what this guy is saying. But the fact that this discussion here is clouded by race, the Nick Shirley videos, the Somali leering centers, that it's all clouded by race or accusations of bigotry or xenophobia, means we're not having the real discussion. And one day we're going to have a real discussion about this fellow.
You work all day, you don't got Thank you for working so hard so I can be home all day, free. I can use my EBT. Go to work for me, white boy, white girl. Yeah, go to work for me, you white animals. Work for me. Yeah, you work for me. And the U.S. government they work for me. All of you work for me. Now go to work. Pay them taxes. Take care of me and my people. All right? This is my land. I control this place. This is my reality. You all gonna be enchained. I'm gonna lock all you guys up if you don't pay your taxes. You better pay your taxes.
If it makes you feel any better, that guy has since been deported. But can you believe a guy that's saying that? Go to work. And then cussing you based on your race. So he's being racist right there. And he's living off of your backs and he's taunting you for it. And there's people that are going out and defending him. He is a Minneapolis Somali. That means Renee Good and Alex Preddy gave their lives trying to prevent that guy from getting deported. That is how insane the cloud and fervor and emotion of these racial accusations have been. And we will all be much better when that goes away. Paul and Prosper, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Yes, I think racism should have ended with the election of Barack Obama. But the Democrats couldn't allow that to happen because I think they were afraid of losing control of the minorities that clamored to their side. By perpetuating racism and really supporting the race industry, they keep up that separation, that tension, and they keep the people under control who they claim to be able to help, once again, from the very problems they themselves create.
Okay, so I think the reaction to Obama and really the criticism of Obama, I should say, was treated with fear. And fear is what has caused us to do all the dumbest things that we have ever done in our entire life through governance. It was fear after 9/11 that made us give away our Fourth Amendment protections with the Patriot Act. And it just keeps getting renewed every year, even though that was 25 years ago. It is fear that caused us to close our schools, our businesses, and lock down our churches from COVID and ruin our economy. Fear did that. It is fear that has people out here going nuts over data centers when they probably live within walking distance of one, many of these people. And it has caused them to take in socialist positions of Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the Chinese Communist Party on data centers based on fear. And that's the big problem with racism. The people who were supporting Carmelo Anthony weren't going on the facts of the case. They were going because they have been trained to fear white people, fear you and me, Paul.
Yes, and the Democrats use that to their advantage to hold on to power.
Yeah.
Because for them, power is the end of their what they're seeking. They don't care about helping people. They just want to hold on to power, and they use that fear to move people in different directions.
But it works, Paul. That's the part that's the real punch in the gut. And thank you for calling, Paul and Prosper. That's the punch in the gut, is it works. But the second the black vote goes to 50-50, Paul's right. The Democrats lose all kinds of power. They lose almost every major American city. Dallas will be a red city. Houston will be a red city. Atlanta will be a red city. New Orleans will be a red city. Jackson, Mississippi would be a red city. And they can't let that happen, and that's why they have to foment this. That's what they have to lie and obfuscate. That's why they're not telling you about the Sammy Lee case that I'm going to update you on next. It was a hate crime. Free Carmelo. A little white girl got targeted for the color of her skin based on racial animus, and they still haven't admitted it's a hate crime yet. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We'll have an update on the hate crime that the media is currently ignoring because it doesn't fit the narrative, because it makes you look like a sympathetic figure. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, the WBAP. And if you're not familiar with the story of Sammy Lee, I don't blame you. Few people are. But it's a story that had its genesis just a couple weekends ago. There was a young lady, 21 years old, I believe she is, 5'3", just a little girl, walking out of a bar called Whiskey J's in Longview. There were some girls that set upon her, attacked her in the parking lot, beat her up pretty good, put a big gash in the back of her head. She has a black eye. She has a cut right above her eye. There was blood all over. She might have had a bloody nose, too. I don't know if that was blood that had dribbled down from the cut above her eye or if that was coming out of her nose, but her nose looked like it had taken at least a contusion or two. She had the neck brace on, sympathetic figure. It got cycled around social media for a few days before anyone else picked it up. Fox News did one story on it one time. We've had a couple of minor mentions here and there in the media, but they don't say the most compelling parts of the story. One, that it was racially motivated. Number two, the girls, while they were attacking her, were yelling, "Free Carmelo." Gee, you think that might be of interest? You think that might get you some clicks and some views? You think that might be a controversial story that'd be good for your ratings? No, they're ignoring it. The narrative that white people are evil and black people are victims is more important than money to these people, apparently. And it's not just a happenstance hearsay story. Here is a guy that called in the first day I reported it. We go back to June 22nd here. Jason in Haltom City. Jason in Haltom City. You're on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.
Good afternoon, James. I just wanted to let you know that the story about Sammy Lee is 100% accurate because my daughter is the friend who was with Sammy that night.
Okay, so what do I not know? What have I not said on the radio so far? You're a perfect guy to talk to right now, Jason.
You pretty much have nailed most of what I know. I haven't personally talked to Sammy. Sammy has spent many nights in my house. My daughter and her met in college, and they're good friends, and they're both of legal drinking age and legal going to the bar age and things like that. I know for my daughter, she is extremely shook up. You know, she's very lucky she wasn't assaulted as well. She was trying to pull them off of Sammy, and thankfully some very kind men showed up at the scene very quickly and helped get that separated. But they were asking my daughter if she wanted some too, and that sort of thing. But Sammy did get injured pretty bad, and they're both scarred mentally for that. They're both small town girls, not used to that sort of thing, just going out and having fun, and not used to having to deal with hatred and violence to that.
Jason, is there any insight on why they targeted Sammy?
As you said earlier, and what my daughter has told us, is that they were looking for a small black girl.
But how do y'all know that? Did they say that out loud? Because that seems to be a weird thing to say when you're beating someone up.
So my understanding is that was on some sort of social media shortly thereafter, and even possibly prior to.
Okay.
They were basically out hunting, like they were out hunting.
Yeah. So did your daughter hear them say "Free Carmelo"?
She 100% heard them say that.
Also, Jason, since you're adjacent to this case, have you seen any media reporting on this?
You are the first one I heard.
All right. So that was from a couple weeks ago. Now we have an update. We know where the discussion of we're going to beat up the first little white girl that comes past us. How do we know? Our news partner, WFA. See, this is so weird because I'm reading this story from CBS 19 over in Bug Tussle. But they are citing arrest documents obtained by WFAA, our news partner here at WBAP, for shedding new information on about the attack. Yeah, so they got the arrest documents, but I went to WFAA and I didn't see their report on it. So did they just get the arrest document and say, "Oh my goodness, this doesn't fit the narrative. Maybe we shouldn't do this story after all"? Or maybe they just I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They'll probably write something up today or maybe tomorrow. But if not, that's going to be rolled into the story in future iterations. But now that we have the arrest documents, we know It was the security guard that said he heard him say that. The bouncer that was standing out front, he could hear the ladies in the parking lot getting all wild, being loud. It's have to borrow the clothes. We're going to beat up the first little white girl that comes through here. And they were all incensed about Carmelo Anthony. Then you had a girl attacked. You had her hospitalized. And even in this reporting here, do they say the term hate crime? No, they don't. So we have 3 TV stations out in Bug Tussle. They all, a couple of them report on it, and the local paper reported on it, but they still haven't admitted it's a hate crime. They haven't admitted that the FBI is looking into it. But we do have, finally, for the first time, just posted yesterday during the James Show, a CBS affiliate actually admitted that it was a free Carmelo. They said free Carmelo. So progress here. But look at how much they are slow rolling the truth on this. Because finally, when we have the final proof that comes out, I'm sure there's going to be a video somewhere. People like making cell phone videos of parking lot fights, and the police report referred to a video. So I don't know if it's a cell phone video, surveillance video from the store, or from the bar, or maybe it's from someone's Tesla in the parking lot. But when we have that come out, that should be the nail in the coffin. But you know what they're going to say then? Well, it's not news. It's an old story. Why would we report on that? That's old news. And this is how they get away with it. This is how they constantly paint you as the aggressor, people with your skin tone as the aggressor, as the bad guy. And it's having negative consequences. This is why we gripe about how Netflix whitewashes, or with whatever the opposite, blackwashes doesn't sound right. But when they change characters, so the bad guy's a white guy. Every commercial where there's a stupid idiot making a fool of himself, it's a white guy. The constant negative reporting on white people being racist, like the Stars Nazi salute guys, but ignoring this one, this is going to keep happening until they stop doing that. And their narrative is more important than actually ending racism. Their power is actually more important than calling out racism when it doesn't fit the narrative. Pretty gross, huh? I mean, I didn't want to I was hoping to give you a better update on the story, but we don't have a better update on the story. So we're just going to have to, I guess, take what we can get here. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, Moms for Liberty has been banned from a state fair because they were deemed to be an extremist group. We'll talk about that next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for the WBAP morning show. Check out the guys, Hal J., Ernie Brown, Carla Marion, Monty Cook, Brad Barton. And, some of them might be on vacation one day or two there, but, I mean, when they're all together, that's a hell of a team. All right. Should I just go to the phones here? I wanted to go into my next topic, but now I'm kind of thinking about it not. I want to talk about Tallarico's bragging about how gay his church is, but looks like I might have a good call on the phone here. Jill in Weston, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate what you guys do. I just want to say it's just a really sad state that the world, or this country especially, coming up on its 250th birthday, where we're at. And people are saying, well, you're racist if you don't like someone, you don't want a person that happens to be Muslim or Islam and practices Islamic beliefs. It's not about race. It's about patriotism and how quickly we forget, and we just turn it to where we spin the narrative to where it's just convenient for us. And we have all these people over here from all these other countries for FIFA, and we still can't figure it out. All these people are like, oh my God, the Americans are this, stand up, get enough, grow some balls and be proud of where we're at. And, it's amazing that people, how do you not understand, how can you rally to keep someone who is here illegally, whether it's a work visa that they've, abused, and how are you not going to be on Team America? But that's all I wanted to say about that.
Well, I think there's an answer to that. I mean, that sounded like a rhetorical question, but I can answer it. Near constant programming, from Sesame Street through the public school system, definitely through academia, through almost all of your favorite actors, all of your favorite musicians. They've all been singing from the same sheet of pro-government, anti-American music. The shows on Netflix, the way they rewrite and reboot Superman now, where he doesn't say truth, justice in the American way. That's what he said when you were a kid, but that's not what he says to my kids. And so it's taken a lot. It's not like a small effort. It's not like, whoa, how did they just trick all these people? Are you kidding? It's been a constant avalanche of anti-white, anti-American, anti-Christian.
The social media, the internet. We didn't have, we had to look things up. We actually had books in high school, and we actually had to read.
Well, let me stop you on that one, because I think the internet is what's pulling us out of this. And I don't think we were more racially harmonious in years past. We had segregation and lynchings and all that. So I think there was a temporary interruption to what had been melting race relations since the Civil War. And there was just a tiny blip where I think in the record of history, we will see the sort of Barack Obama to George Floyd valley as a blip in an otherwise straight trajectory of racial harmony. And I think the internet's going to help get us there.
Well, but it's also like the same with my apologies, I can't remember that poor girl's name out in East Texas that was attacked.
Sammy Lee.
Like, it's aggravated assault in the first degree, whatever it's the word. So we're breeding racism from the internet. These girls lived 100 miles from where this whole thing took place. My daughters knew Austin. They went to the same high school. They know his brother, Hunter. It's a tragedy, very tragic. Shouldn't have happened, but it did. So you're breeding this hate and everything from the internet, from social media, to these girls that are 2 hours away. And they're chanting for that. And the fact that people are questioning, like, we can't handle the truth. I think as a society, we did better when we didn't have, wow, there's this, and, you can have your opinion over here, your opinion. We kind of, as a society, I think we do better with limited information because we can't handle the truth, and we can't all have our own opinion and be able to talk about it.
Yeah, I think you're being a little too black-pilled there. I think what you just described does apply to a big chunk of the population, but it's definitely less than half of us, and I think it's dwindling by the day. I think we are getting smarter. I think if you're just judging by what the media puts out there, then of course you're not going to see that. But remember, they're just constantly lying to you and keeping people scared because it helps them attain power. It helps their narrative. I think things are a lot better than probably I give it credit for most of the time. So I don't even blame you for that, Jill.
Well, I'm going to keep praying for us and appreciate you.
Well,
Have a great weekend and happy 4th of July and happy birthday, America.
right on. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it. Jill in Weston. Just now I got to look up where Weston is at. Oh, okay. Way up there, North McKinney, next to Salina. Okay. Between Salina and Anna. I got a new town today. All right, coming up next, James Tallarico's bragging about how gayish church is, but also about how they're committing immigration crimes. It's hilarious. Ha ha ha. Isn't this just like your church? You'll hear it next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, you're about to hear a guy brag about the crimes his church commits. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Look, I wasn't going to vote for the guy anyway, so it's not like this is some earth-shattering moment here. But James Tallarico, the more clips they dig up on this guy, just the weirder it gets. And it's starting to bother me now because it's reaching a level of heresy to where you really have to have a big pair. I mean, you have to have like a Glad bag with a couple of cantaloupes in it to present yourself. You know, he's a Christian. He went to seminary, and he even says, you know, my faith is the reason I got into politics. Your faith, this faith. All right, look, and I'll be in the same. If the guy agreed with me on every policy position out there, and he still thought this way, I would vote for him. So that's what I mean by this hitting a deal breaker. But this is such a fake version of Christianity. Well, I hate to judge a guy like that. This is such a non-mainstream, not widely accepted version of Christianity. It makes me wonder why they've put him out there as a Christian, as sort of his identifying factor. Here he is talking about his church in Austin.
I mean, my faith is why I'm in politics. So I grew up at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, which is right outside Austin city limits, up 35. Our church was really active in LGBTQ rights in the 90s. We caught some attention by letting an atheist join our church in the 2000s. And then in the 2010s, again, stirred some controversy by housing an undocumented family, a mother and son, who were close to being deported by ICE.
Yes, harboring illegal immigrants, breaking the law, promoting LGBTQ issues in the 90s. Do you do that for any other sin? Do you go out and like, hey, what about all the drunkards out there? Or what about all the other heterosexual fornicators out there? I love that word fornicator. We should use that more. Not you, Garrett. It sounds awful when you say it. But yeah, what was all that? We allowed an atheist in our church? Excuse me? What? I want to do the cartoon thing where you shake your head back and forth. Blah, 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 blah. I have so many questions about that. Because on one hand, you want atheists to be exposed to church so you can convert them. On the other hand, if he's going to be an atheist and continue to be an atheist, what the hell's he going to church for? He likes the music? No clue what's going on there. No clue. But that was all weird stuff, and I can't believe we're harboring fugitives. Yep, that's right. All you other Christians went to the ballot box and voted in people to enforce our immigration laws and to enforce our border and to, just treat everybody equally. And we were fighting against that the whole time. Dude, even if you did that, you don't know enough to keep your mouth shut? Yay! Yes. Yeah, that part. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Garrett. Garrett got a noise for me. Maybe not that one. I think the first one. You don't have to do it again. You don't have to do it again. Credence in Albany. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I just wanted to say, in my experience, the United States of America is the least racist country in the world.
Agreed.
And I've seen that firsthand by the people I've sponsored in J1s. Or just
I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry. What's a J1?
Oh, a J1 visa for employment. He was a great guy, but different views than people from the United States. And then, I was working in Union Square in San Francisco and just waiting for a cab, and I was accosted by a Somali guy, and that was the first thing he led with was white trash, white this, white that. And, the rest of the world is, the United States is the least racist country in the world. And I just wanted everybody to hear that and look for opportunities to experience that because, we're very welcoming to everybody. And as long as you do it the right way and you contribute.
Oh, Credence, you're preaching to the choir here because we point out on the James Show all the time, not only is, Western civilization and Western European white people, not only are we not racist, not only are we not responsible for the slave trade, we're responsible for ending it. We're the ones who freed you. We're the ones who died by the hundreds of thousands to end slavery. White Republican males died by the hundreds of thousands to end slavery and give you your freedom. That I don't see that happening anywhere else in the world. Why are we the bad guys? Why not the 12 million black slaves that were taken out of Africa in the Arab slave trade? And you know why you don't have a whole lot of black people in the Arab populations where they brought the slaves, but we have them here? Because they neutered all of them. They cut off their junk and they didn't allow them to reproduce. And they were just going to go take them out into the desert and work them to death. I think you got a much better deal over here. I'm not saying like slavery is the greatest thing that happened to you, but the descendants of slaves in America are better off than black people anywhere else on the planet. And I'm tired of acting like we're the bad guys. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Credence. I think we all agree with you though. All right, coming up next, I want to talk about the party that happened last night. It was great. It was the WBAP and Dallas Express teaming up at the Longhorn Ice House to throw a birthday party for America's 250th birthday. Rich O'Toole did a set, country music, Texas country. It was fantastic, and you'll hear all the fun stories coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, it was a great party last night. I hope you got to be there. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. It was an awesome time at the Longhorn Ice House. Big thank you. First, we got to do like a round of thanks. Of course, the big team up was WBAP with the Dallas Express. Thank you to Dallas Express. Well, we don't give Dallas Express any points. We're not giving ourselves points. We're supposed to be doing awesome events. That's not anything above and beyond. This is just regular delivering for the listeners of our station, Garrett. Thank you. Also, thank you to Ben Abbott. He was one of the sponsors of the event. He left gift bags on a bunch of the tables, and so a whole lot of people got some like little parting gifts. There was a mug that you could click the bottom of it. It's shaped like a boot, and it had the LED lights that would blink, and you could drink out of it. That was fun. There were the little light sticks that blinked red, white, and blue. There was American flags. My 4 kids actually spent a big chunk of time in the VIP room playing with one of those little mini beach balls that said Ben Abbott on it. So he ended up entertaining my kids for like an hour. I'm like, what are you doing back here? The party's out here. They're like, the music's too loud. I'm like, oh, you're not going to say that in about 5 years. So it was a great time, and I got to meet a lot of people like you, if not you yourself. Thank you to Kara Mendelson for coming out from the Dallas City Council. I mean, some of the regular callers that you hear were there. There was Tony. Sylvia came by and said hi. You've probably heard her on the show if you're a regular listener. No Lawrence sighting this time, but Rich O'Toole absolutely went out and killed it. And thanks to everybody who had any part in setting all that up. That was so much fun. And you make me look really cool in front of my kids and Miss Parker. And that's what was really important.
Hi, Miss Parker.
No, just kidding. Just celebrating the greatest country the world has ever known. That's all. To the phones we go. This is Paige in Cedar Hill. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Hey, thank you, James, for taking my call. And I want you to know that I truly listen to you every day. And I really enjoy the station. It's one of the best kept secrets I think ever been around.
Secret? We're the biggest talk radio station in Texas.
Well, you got to understand, a lot of people don't know about you guys.
Fair enough.
Y'all still in here.
Fair enough. I was just trying to be a little proud of myself.
Thank you. You have a reason to be. But, okay, I want to talk a little bit about this racism thing. Okay, as a black man, there is a lot of racism still being practiced in the United States, and I really don't understand why. I kind of hate that our country is still stuck on stupidity. Okay, but I want you to understand that the war that Lincoln and everybody were fighting really wasn't all about slavery. It was about Lincoln didn't want to give up his presidency to the people in the South who elected their own president. You know, Lincoln said, we're going to have one president, it's going to be me. And so that's really what that fight was all about.
That's it? Lincoln wasn't an abolitionist? Lincoln didn't have a series of debates with Stephen Douglas leading up to the presidential election that were centered around abolition? The Republican Party wasn't founded in 1854 with the express purpose of abolition. When they had the secession statements from 11 states that seceded, did you read those? Because they said it was about slavery.
Well, okay, but you and I know differently because, Lincoln was not the first person to offer freedom to the slaves if they joined in on the rebellion. You know, Lord Fillmore also offered it too, but they didn't win. Now, the thing about Lincoln was that the people in the South had a lot more to lose because, you know, that was their livelihood. Their farm, their plantations and homes or whatever you want to call them.
Democrats is what we call them.
Okay, well, okay, and as a person that used to be a supporter of the Democrats, it was a lot of things that we just didn't know. And as we knew and as we learned, we moved to the people that really opened the door.
Okay. I think we all see where this is going. Let me just go ahead and ask the next question we're all thinking. If white people didn't free the slaves, who did?
Well, white people, slaves was freed, during the process, but that wasn't the reason. Because
it was just an accident? Oops, we freed all the slaves. 600,000 people died, and oops.
Yes, you did, but you know what? You have some black people fighting too. But the thing about it, that wasn't the reason for the war. We got to
disagree.
Freeing people We got to. I know. You know, you gonna tell me that Lincoln wasn't fighting for the presidency?
He was fighting to keep the Union, but why were the Southern states seceding?
Well, because for one thing, they were losing.
Okay. So he could say, all right, if my primary mission, as you're positing right here in your theory page, is that Lincoln did this because he wanted to keep the Union together, and that was more important than getting rid of slavery, and slavery was just an afterthought, then why wouldn't he just say, okay, keep your slaves, as long as it keeps the Union together? That's my primary motivation, and you can keep your slaves.
Well, at the time, he need. Okay, first of all, the boys in the.
You don't have an answer for Page. You don't have an answer for that. Face it. White people freed the slaves. White people freed black people from slavery. It's a tough narrative to get over because it's been instilled in all of us in every form of music and movies and TV shows and academia and textbooks and politicians our entire lives. And I don't see why it's that hard to accept. White people freed the slaves in America first, and then we turned around and we forced other countries to do the same. The Arab world didn't give up their slaves because they had a civil war. The Arab countries gave up their slaves, and the few that did, because they were pushed by mostly the British Empire, to be honest, because they were more powerful than us at the time, but us as well. It was the Western world that condemned the rest of Earth for practicing slavery, and we were the vanguard of ending slavery on the planet, and I'm tired of not getting credit for it.
Okay, but James, you just can't take credit just because you want credit.
Who freed them then?
The thing about it is white people needed slavery because they had all this land to develop over in the United States.
The northern states didn't need slavery. The Republicans in the South didn't need slavery. In fact, 98% of the population in the South didn't need slavery. The independent farmers didn't need slavery. The old 300 that came here, most of them didn't have slaves in Texas. So no, we didn't need slavery. Slavery was
they came with servitude. And those people that could only.
Okay, but my point still stands. Who freed them?
Who freed who?
Who freed the slaves in America?
Going by history, Lincoln did with emancipation.
Well,
all the white people did that. That's what you want to say. But white people also.
So I think you're admitting. So we did that. You're welcome. Hey, Paige, you're welcome.
I can't be welcome because you still practice it. I can't be welcome.
Oh, I'm a slave. I have slaves.
I go through it every day. Every now and then, my friend, when I'm listening to you, I have to tell myself that this is an intelligent man talking, and because sometimes you be sounding like you got some racism.
Yeah, well, you've been trained to think that your entire life. And if I don't say it enough, let me say it again. I am not a racist. Racism is a failed, obsolete, kind of dumb idea. I do not believe people have inherent traits that can be determined by the color of their skin that renders them better or worse than other people. And Paige, you just keep sticking around because I don't know why it's so hard to handle the truth that I don't hate you. White people, just generally speaking, aren't full of hate. We're not a bunch of buzzing around bigots, run around in robes and then just lying about it. We're not burning crosses. We're not doing any of this anymore. We don't hate you. Now, can you stop with that and listen to our economic policy and, God forbid, maybe balance the budget?
Okay, you can't speak for all whites, James.
You can't what?
You cannot speak for all whites.
Well, no, I'm speaking in generalizations, and I'm sure, of course, there's some white people out there that are racist, but I think it's less than 5%. There's not. Can you name one person in an elected office anywhere in America that will, if you ask them, "Are you a racist?" they'll say yes?
No.
Because there's not one. So that is how few and far between racism is in the white community. In fact, if this was a racist country, would we be ignoring the Sammy Lee story? If this was a racist country, would we only talk about hate crimes when they go in one direction? If this was a racist country, wouldn't you know the name of one unarmed white man who was killed unjustly by a cop? Because you can name George Floyd, you can name Freddie Gray, you can name Alton Sterling, Philando Castile. You know all those names. Michael Brown. All right, so this is the apex here. Paige, name one unarmed white guy that was unfairly killed by cops.
I can't name one.
Because they never told you that. They only tell you the bad stuff. And this is why you're skeptical, is because you've been fed a steady.
no.
Has it never happened? You think it's never, you think an unarmed white guy has never been unjustly killed by cops?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so now you admit, just please admit, the media never tells you those stories because it would make me a sympathetic figure to you.
We should never base our truth on the media because you can't go by.
No, we have to base our look. The media is very important here because you can name all of those other injustices, but you can't name one that makes me a sympathetic figure. You can't name one against whites, and that's because you were trained. That's because they've omitted all of those, and it's only through that strong censorship and misconstruing of the facts. Because a lie of omission is still a lie. That's the only reason you still hate us. And guess what? Or you think we hate you, and we don't, Paige. We don't hate you. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.